Okay, I'm back with part 2. Let's get these last 5 plants out of the way so that you guys can work on your assignment this week. Okay, so this next one is called a rhododendron. It's part of the azalea family. On the CPH, you really can put azalea or rhododendron, but here's the problem, guys. There is another plant that's actually called an azalea, and they're in the same family, but they look somewhat alike, but I just prefer you guys to put rhododendron for this plant and then put azalea for the other one that I'll show you in later weeks. So rhododendron, it is a flowering shrub. It is evergreen, so this shrub does not lose its leaves at all. And actually it's quite the opposite. It's a very smart plant. And what it does is if it gets really, really cold outside, the leaves actually curl in like this to conserve its water and the warmth of its leaves. So it's very smart, and that's kind of how it survives. So what you're gonna see here is on the tip of every branch. So as we come up this tip, you are going to have a big bud that is on the end. And when this thing opens up, you're gonna have about 6 to 8 little flowers that kind of come on the end of it. So it gets really big. I believe mine is a light purple. They come in pink, they come in white, dark purple, but a really nice shrub to add to your landscape. They're pretty hardy. You guys can see there's some bug damage here, so I'll cut that off. And I do have a little bit of disease coming through it, but I usually cut that out every year, and it seems to, spread up with some new buds. So actually this is deer that ate this, but for the most part it's pretty deer resistant. So again, if you live in the woods in an area where there's a lot of deer, rhododendrons really do survive pretty well. So here's what you're gonna see. Here is a bud from last year, okay? And this is what I'm talking about. You've got multiple flower stems that came up. So these are all the pistils from last year. So when we talk about parts of the flowers in the upcoming weeks, you have the pistil and the stamen on each flower. That's what pollinates and then becomes a seed. So that's last year's. This thing's gonna open up and have a bunch of these coming off it as well. Let's see, other identifying characteristics. They are whorled. So if you look at the tip where the bud is, you're gonna see in a circular form. See how these are going around in a circle from the bud. Okay, so they're not opposite, they are whorled. Think of like the world going round and round. So, but it's W-H-O-L-E-D. World. Okay. The leaves are simple. They are smooth edges, not serrated. And they actually have a very thick feel to them, almost like a plastic to them. So they're very tough leaves. They're not fragile at all. But I don't want to say leather because there's another viburnum called a leather leaf viburnum. But honestly, if you want to say it's got a leathery texture, just don't get that mixed up with a leather leaf viburnum. But yeah, so it's a tough leaf, simple, smooth edge, whorled in a circle with the bud on the end. So you're going to see this guy usually doesn't open up till May. So I'm guessing since we're early with the spring this year, it's gonna look at probably mid-April this year for opening. So, and I can already see some of that. See how this bud is peeling back here? That's a good sign that this is gonna start wanting to open. But again, we're still early. I mean, it's 50 degrees today, so I do not see us having any of our rhododendrons flowering right now. If you follow Longa Garden or Winter Estates, they have been showing some of their rhododendrons that are flowering, but those are called a specific cultivar of a PJM, and they were designed to bloom earlier in the spring. They're also a smaller rhododendron, so this is just your common rhododendron. The other ones that you might see around that are blooming are PJM. That is actually on the CPH. I do not have one in my yard, but we'll get to it later on. I better speed this up a little bit because it's going to start raining here. All right, let's go to the next one. So this is another tree, and you guys can see it's a pretty immature tree. This is called my red buckeye. Okay, buckeye, kind of like the Buckeye State of Ohio. Red. Look at the leaves. They're a red color, so it's an easy one to remember. Red buckeye. And here is a great one to look at because we really haven't talked about compound leaves since the fall. And here is our compound leaf. So if we're going up the stem of the tree, they're opposite. But if you follow the petiole here all the way to the end, can you guys see how that is one leaf right there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 leaflets, like we talked about. And they've got some great texture on them. These just opened this week. So again, if you go on the Instagram and under highlights, look at plant ID, you'll see this tree with the buds before it really started opening. And here's some residual. These are the buds that opened up to these long stems with all of these compound leaves on the end. So again, this is a really cool tree. This is going on 3 years now, so I have a cage around it because deer were eating it, and now they're not. So I'm going to take it down at this point. It's healthy enough. But you'll see that this is also going to flower. Okay, so I will get an update, but when you guys do your plant ID slide, please make sure to get the leaf on there, get the shape, like a further out picture of the tree shape itself, and then make sure to get the flowers that would come off of it, because those are great identifying factors. All right, so that would be 7. Okay, so 6 was rhododendron, 7 red buckeye. Okay. The next one we will do here, and again, it's not a great, guys, I'm doing my landscaping as we go here too. So this whole bed, it's pretty, but I've got some weeds here. I've got to pull out stuff from last year. I've got tags sitting in my yard. So don't feel afraid to go out there and start pulling weeds. Okay, so this next one, this is a ground cover, okay? Something nice that you can add in. It comes back every year, so we call that a perennial. So hopefully that sounds familiar to you. So you can see all this gray stuff. Really, I should have gone in and cut this back in the fall, ripped it all out of the ground. So what I need to do now is pull all this dead stuff out, because you can see all this green are all the new lamb's ears coming up. So again, lamb, like the animal, L-A-M-B, ear, E-A-R, lamb's ear. You guys can see it's kind of collecting the dew from today. But the cool thing about this is when this is dry, it's got a very velvety, so going back to that velvet again, that's why they call it lamb's ear. It looks like an ear of a lamb. It's got a gray texture to it. And again, you're not seeing that right now because it's got dew on the leaf, so it's making it more green than what it usually shows. But this is just, again, a nice ground cover that's going to come back every single year. You can divide it out and plant it in other places and just keep multiplying how many lamb's ears you have. You just have to be careful because it will kind of take over your garden. But again, if we're talking leaves, ground cover, perennial, simple, it is let's see here, serrated edge. So it's not smooth, it's serrated, okay? And if you're looking at the leaf, again, it's got so many little hairs on it. That's what gives it that gray texture. But that is your lamb's ear. Okay, so that's number 8. Let's move on to a bulb since I've got so many of them. Let's see which one you want to do. Let's do the white one. Okay, so we've got number 8 is daffodil. And before we left from class, last time we spoke, we were talking about monocots and dicots. And this is a great example of a monocot. Because remember, monocots have long leaves with parallel veins versus a dicot that's going to send out 2 leaves at a time. So this is a great example of a monocot right here in my yard. So daffodils, they are bulbs, bulbs, and they're going to come back every year. And this is a great addition to your garden to add, obviously, spring colors. You've got smaller ones that are like mine are yellow. I've got white and yellow. These come in a variety of yellows and whites. And so again, it's a great addition to your landscape, but it's bulbs are a lot of work. They are going to give you that beautification for the spring or for whenever that bulb is supposed to be coming up out of your garden. And then when they're done, they're going to brown, they're going to die. You're going to be left with the leaves, which are fine, but then you're going to have to pull all those out. You're going to have to cut them back, pull them out. And so adding this to your yard is a great option, but it takes work. So when you're talking maintenance to clients or just even to your own yard, if you like to be outside, you like to garden, you like to pull weeds, you like to transfer stuff over from each season, then this is a great addition. But don't put them in if you're not willing to keep up with them, because again, all these flowers that you see right now, they're going to be done by May. And I'm going to have to come out here and cut everything back, pull it out, and then that's when I go in with my summer flowers and I add those behind it. So again, they're a great little flower, but lots of work, but definitely worth it. I mean, see how pretty that is? It's pretty awesome. All right, let's see. Next one. That was 8, 6, 7, 8, yep, 9. Okay, so I'm going to get close up on this one too. So let's talk about climbing vines here real quick. This is called clematis, clematis, clematis. And a great way that I always remembered clematis is I kind of think of it as climb-atis, like it climbs. So that's a great way to remember it. But these are vines that almost look like they die every winter, but you don't cut them back. You just leave them. So see this? That's last year's stem. But then what happens is off these old growths, you have your new clematis that's going to start climbing. And so I have a post here and it's going to climb all the way to the top there. So this is still in the early part, but it'll bloom all summer. And then the nice thing with clematis is you can cut it back and then it'll bloom again. So they come in multiple colors. This one happens to be a specialty one that my mom got me, and it is the color blue. So that's pretty cool. I have another one I'll show you in a second near my pig statue that is a purple. But let's look at the leaves here. So clematis, again, it is a vine. Okay, it's not a shrub, it's not a tree, it's not a bulb. It is a vine, it climbs. So if you're putting it near your house, if you're putting it on a trellis, that's fine, but just know it's going to keep climbing. So if you have a trellis next to your house, be careful that it doesn't cling to the house and start climbing up the side, because you don't want to ruin your siding, you don't want to ruin your roof, anything like that. Okay, let's look at the leaves here. So you've got opposite leaves, and the thing with these are, they are not round. They're almost like an arrowhead. See that shape, like a triangle versus a round leaf. The stem has a reddish color to it with green leaves. And then you've got your bud. Here's your bud. That's going to open up later. So again, when you go to do your CPH slide, please make sure that you look up a clematis flower to put into your slide. I will be sure to update you guys as that starts opening. Let me show you the other clematis. Here's one of the garden beds I did the other day. So put some pansies in. Okay, so I weeded all this out. I put some pansies in. I got these from the dollar store. And this is my pig. We like to dress her up. She's a Southern Belle, so that's Petunia. That's her baby, yet to be named. So if you guys have a good name for her, throw it out there to me. Okay, so here's the other clematis. So again, I planted this behind the statue because you'll see I have a little wall here. And so I want this to keep climbing up and behind so that when this one blooms purple, almost like this color fake false flower. But when it blooms, it really adds a backdrop to the statues, which is kind of cool because that is what you walk into my house and kind of see. So there is clematis. I believe that was 9. And we'll go one more. Getting a little cool out here. I think we have done Southern Magnolia, so I'm going to skip that little guy. And let's go down to our winged euonymus. And guys, if I've already done this one, again, this is kind of on the fly. Go back and do a different one later. But here is winged euonymus, firebush. The biggest thing to tell on this, it's a shrub or a bush. And the biggest way, here, I'll do it against the wall here. Here you go. See, along the edge of the stem, there are these growths. Look at that. It's a wing. Winged euonymus. As soon as you see those little wings, that's it, you're done. The only other plant that students sometimes get tripped up on is the sweet gum tree, because it also has some wings on the stems, but they always put the monkey ball with it. The monkey ball is a sweet gum seed. So if there's a monkey ball with a stem that has a wing, that's a sweet gum. If you have a shrub with leaves and no monkey ball, little seeds like this, I mean tiny little seeds, and the wings, it's a wing euonymus. It's an easy one. I really hope you guys will take that one serious because that's an easy point. And again, it's on every single stem. And a lot of times they make the sample very predominant, so you really can't mess it up. So, all right, well, it's cold. My hair is wild, and it's lunchtime. So please comment. Please say hi. Do your assignments. Check in daily. All right, we're told that we have to give you content for every B day. So I'm going to try to be uploading stuff every day to keep you busy on those days where you need to do your assignments. So hopefully this was fun for you. It was fun for me to kind of get out and talk instead of just send worksheets. So we will kind of keep doing this. Stay healthy. Don't get bored. Get outside. Weed some gardens. Plant some flowers. Stay socially distant. Bye.